Hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode of United Talks podcast. And today, this is the match preview of the game between Manchester United and Brentford. If you're just joining us for the first time, please do like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell so you don't have to miss anything as it relates to all things Manchester United. Yesterday, we brought you news about Man United's transfers. We talked about tactical, review of the game that Man United played against Chelsea, and now we're facing a very massive game, an interesting game again, where we're going to be looking to, face a team that is kind of like a trap for Man United. Like, no matter how much we want to talk about it, no matter how much we want to analyze it, I think this is a trap because the last time we faced this team, it was basically a game that didn't look too good for us. We lost to them literally, right? So yeah, so this is United Talks podcast, and this is a tactical preview for the game between Manchester United and Brentford at Old Trafford. We're heading into this game in a Monday night clash that in Monday night clash at Old Trafford that has a trap game written all over it. Michael Carrick's resurgent Reds against the Keith Andrews giant killing bees. And that's a fact. Because these guys might come across like a bunch of guys that, will just make this game really tough to face. So, Monday night under the lights at Old Trafford. It has not been favorable for us for the most part of this season. All times we've played on Monday night. Or on Monday night. For Manchester United, it isn't just another 3 points. It's not about 3 points. It's about exercising the ghosts of the Gtech. Brentford have become a thorn on our side, a team that, seems to thrive on catching the Red Empire's guard, basically. But the vibe has shifted, seemingly, considering how our form has been dwindling over the last couple of games. Under Michael Carrick, United aren't just surviving, they are controlling and they are getting results, whether the performances are good or not. With Champions League spots within touching distance and Bruno Fernandes chasing Premier League history, the stage is set for a high-stakes showdown. Can Carrick's pragmatic flexibility finally flip the Bees' wings? That's a huge question for us all to answer. But let's get right into it. Let's break it down as we always do. And we have our dashboard here. We'll start with head-to-head and historical context. Basically, historically, United leads the record. But recent years have seen a roller coaster of triumph and humiliation. We can't forget the 4-0 thrashing in 2022. And unfortunately, the 25-26 season hasn't been much kinder as well because United fell 3-1 to Brentford. I think that was the goal that the game that this guy scored a goal the day we wore a black jersey, black and gold, or black and yellow. Shesko scored a goal after attempting to shoot the ball twice, and then at the third time he blasted it to the roof of the net, and then Brentford still kind of like basically whooped us. Brentford back in September. In fact, we lost to them 3-1 in September, and I remember that game vividly under Ruben Amorim. In fact, Brentford have won the last two meetings, 3-1 and 4-3, since we met, scoring 7 goals against us in the process. Igor Thiago has been the chief tormentor as well, but United have been imperious, basically, at home recently, winning 5 of the last 6 at Old Trafford. But for the first time in a long time, the logic favors Man United, but history also warns us never to underestimate the Bees. We've seen this multiple times. You look at the form guide, recent form over the last 5 games, we have seen that Brentford have basically been unbeaten. They have 5 draws in the last 5, and they've been scoring, right? 0-0 against Bournemouth, 2-2 against Wolves, 0-0 against Leeds, 2-2 against Everton, and 0-0 against Fulham. So it's 0-0, 2-2, 0-0, 2-2, 0-0. They can't seem to finish off games, right? Now, for both teams in the last 5 games, Brentford have won at least the last 2, 3-1 and 4-3. And Man United won 2-1. I think if you remember the comeback win as well. And then you also have the 1-1 and 2-1. So 9 wins, 4 draws, and 8 wins for Brentford. So we're just edging them by 1 win, right? And in the last 5 games, as I said, Man United have won 2, lost 2, and drawn 1, right? So it is what it is, and that is how we are seeing the game. And it's really tough to actually just, make headway, from this. In the Premier League, Man United have 16 wins, Brentford have 13. There's been 10 draws for United, 9 for Brentford, 7 losses for United, 11 for Brentford. And then you also look at the performances, the goal progression by minute. I talked about the goal progression from last game, and we're seeing the same pattern here because we scored against Chelsea towards the end of the first half. And now Man United's goal progression comes. Basically, we start games really slowly. While Brentford's goals are spread across board, they score most of their goals in the second half from the 61st minute upward. While for Man United, actually from the 75th minute upward, for Man United, we seldom start games really well, and then we score most of our goals. At least the highest number of goals we scored came towards the end of the first half from 75 minutes upwards, and then obviously from the middle of from the 31st to the 45th minute and from the 46th to the 60th minute, we've scored most of our goals, but we really start games slowly, right? And then obviously top performers for this game, or top performers for offensive contribution, right? Bruno has 18 assists, 2 assists shy of the record and 3 assists shy of breaking the record with 8 goals, while Igor Thiago has 21 goals with 1 assist. Brian Bumo has 3 assists and 9 goals and hasn't changed for a long time now, since the assist against Everton. And then obviously Kevin Schade for them is 7 goals and 3 assists, and I think Kevin Schade has always been a problem for Man United. The last game I think I called him as the key player, but this time around Igor Thiago has been just phenomenal for them, scoring everything including penalties and stuff. Then you have Benjamin Sesko, who has 9 goals and 1 assist, and I hope that changes. And then you have Dango Ouattara, who has 5 goals and 3 assists. He barely plays a lot, but this time around, the last couple of games, he's been playing. And then you have Casemiro, who has 8 goals and 2 assists, with Michel Damsgaard, who has 3 goals and 4 assists, right? And then when it comes to team ranks, United are 3rd in goals for, 7th, while Brentford are 7th in goals for, with 58 and 48 goals respectively. United are 2nd now in shots. Second now, we used to be 1st in shots. Now we're 2nd now in shots with 480 shots to 313. Brentford, who are 16th, and assists, United are 3rd with 40 assists. To Brentford's 8th with 32 assists, right? United are still 19th in saves with 64 saves, and that could mean that either we're conceding too much or we are not facing too many shots. So it depends. And then Brentford are 10th with 78 saves, which means they could be facing more shots and they could be keeping more clean sheets, because obviously they have 3 clean sheets in the last 5. United have 1 in the last 5. So yeah, that says a lot. So it is what it is on that. But on the table, like on the Premier League table, we're ranked 3rd with 58 points, and with 5 games to go, while Man City and Arsenal are topping with 70 points each with 5 games to go. The highest number of points anybody can get in the top 2 is 85 points, but it is what it is. While Brentford are currently 9th, and if they get 3 points, they will leapfrog everybody and come to 6th. Because obviously Brighton and Bournemouth and Chelsea have all played 34 games. So if Brentford win, they will go to 51 points and they'll go to 6th. And if Man United win, we'll go to 61 points and we will still remain in 3rd, depending on what happens with the outcome of Villa, right? Because we are above Villa by, a margin, by a huge goal margin. So that's pretty much what it is when it comes to all of that. Now, with regards to form guide, like I said, the Carrick effect is kind of statistically undeniable. United have won basically more Premier League points, 28, than any other side, especially in 2026. And then also after rebounding from a Leeds defeat to a gritty 1-0 win over Chelsea, Man United sit 3rd in the table with 58 points, and they are a team defined by momentum and defensive solidity as well as moments, right? Brentford also, under Keith Andrews, have made the Bees the league's stalemate kings. I mean, they are draw specialists. They drew their last 6 Premier League games on the bounce, while they sit 9th and are chasing the top 6. Their winless run is a concern, but they remain incredibly difficult to beat, maintaining a high intensity that keeps every game competitive. Now, we're going to talk about how Brentford play. Now, how does Brentford play under Keith Andrews? Under Keith Andrews, Brentford have evolved into a safety-first direct machine, right? They lead the league in forward passes percentage with 37.8%, while bypassing the midfield entirely every time they get the opportunity. They utilize Kelleher's distribution to kind of launch long balls towards Igor Thiago. Defensively, they sit very compact in a 4-4-2 or 5-3-2 mid block, prioritizing central congestion. Now, they don't also want the ball. They average around 40% ball possession, but they also want to punish you in the second you lose it, ranking near the top of the league for transition lethality, right? Very little when it comes to transition. And then obviously key player for Brentford in this one. Before we go to the key player, we're going to go, or let's talk about the key player, then we'll go to the predicted lineup. We should have gone with predicted lineup first, but key player for Brentford is Igor Thiago, 24-year-old Brazil international. He has been superb for them. You know, like I said earlier, he's played 35 games with 24 goals and 1 assist, 2,957 minutes. He scored 2 goals in the 2-2 draw with Everton and all of that, and scored when he was on international break. Now back to the starting lineup for Brentford. We'll go with Kelleher in net, Collins and Vandenberg in the back 4, and then Luis Potter and Coyote. Coyote is on the right side, while Luis Potter is on the left side, and then you have Jensen and Yarmouk in the mid. Jensen was one that scored the goal that kind of nailed the coffin in the 3-1 win that they had against Man United. Damsgaard is in the attacking mid. Then Kevin Schade left. Dango Ouattara on the right. Pace merchants. These guys run their socks off. And then you have Igor Thiago, their informed striker, as the guy who runs things at the top and scores the goals, right? Now, he's a physical nightmare. If I'm going to be super honest, he's a physical nightmare for centre backs. You know, he pushes Erling Haaland in the Golden Boot race. Thiago is a direct pivot for everything Brentford will do. He scores, he holds up play, and he bullies defenders. If United can't handle the aerial presence, the bees will swarm the second ball all night. And that's where we have a problem, depending on what happens with our defensive line. Maybe the suspended players are back. I think Maguire has one more game. And then Licha Martinez will probably be back. But then we'll lack height there. So that means there could be a potential for Heaven and Licha. Or we go back to what we played against Chelsea. But if we use that defense with the threat of Igor Thiago, unless we block all the passes to him, then it's going to be a very long night for us on Monday night. Now, we're going to talk about how Manchester United play under Michael Carrick. We've talked about this multiple times, but we'll still talk about it tactically, because obviously we've been seeing a lot of, kind of changes and some kind of like reliance on less of performance, more of movements, right? Man United play under Michael Carrick a system of manipulating space, right? United's players primarily set up in a 4-2-3-1 that shifts into a 3-2-5, as I said, a hybrid in possession. One fullback, usually Dalot, stays deep while the other pushes high. Sometimes the fullback that pushes high is Dalot, and the one that stays deep is Luke Shaw. Now, the double pivot of Casemiro and Menu is the heartbeat, focused on safe and secure passing to draw out the press before unleashing Bruno Fernandes. Defensively, Man United have moved on to a zonal mid block that prioritizes shot quality control, forcing teams wide and reducing central XG. Now, basically, we're going to look at the starting lineup for Man United against Brighton. And the starting lineup for Man United against Brentford rather than Brighton, it goes like Solomons in net. And I'm still going to go with Aiden Heaven and Majara because I don't even know what's happened. I heard that there's a positive injury news for the back line, but it's for Euro and I think for Dogu. But Heaven and Majraoui again, hoping that they will not be able to deal with us when it comes to, they will not deal with us when it comes to pace so long as our back line is secure. Then you have Luke Shaw on the left and Dalot on the right. And then you also have Casemiro and Ugarte. Did I say Casemiro and Ugarte? I was thinking, yeah, maybe. No, let's change that. It will be For this one, instead of going with Ugarte, we're going with Menu for this one because I was surprised to see him back. I put Ugarte before, but right, I was surprised to see him back. To see Menu back. I would have preferred Ugarte because of the pace in the midfield, but I know Michael Carrick is going to go with Menu. So Casemiro and Menu in the mid, and then Bruno Fernandes in the 10. Cunha on the left, can deal with the pace on that left-hand side with Coyote and all of that. But then, yeah, we'll talk about that with Coyote. He'll deal with Coyote and Luke Shaw would be deep. And then I would prefer to go with Ahmad because he has more defensive prowess when it comes to the right side, even though Mbumo offers similar when it comes to defense, when it comes to the right side. But I will go with Ahmad on this one and then Mbumo as a striker. Obviously, he's going to stretch the defense. And the reason why I'll go with Mbumo as a striker is because it will make Brentford not to control how we attack. But whenever we use Šeško for a team like Brentford, they will control how we attack because Šeško becomes our only outlet. But with Mbumo, there's a lot of movement, there's a lot of flexibility, there's a lot of fluidity. He comes deep, he can actually go wide, right? I'd rather we go with such a player, right? To be able to create opportunities for us for the flanks, especially for people like Ahmad and Cunha. Yes, Mbumo and Ahmad have not been in good form, but it will be good to see them, turn up in a game like this. So yeah, that's pretty much my starting lineup. I have not watched the press conference. I have not seen anything. I'll do the press conference review after this video, but I've not seen anything to actually tell me maybe that anything has changed in the defense line. If anything has changed, I would rather they don't bench Heaven and they start maybe another player. But then, because we need that pace, these guys can play a lot of long balls and we need someone who can deal with the long balls and the pace. We're lucky to not concede against Chelsea, and hopefully we don't concede crazy goals against Brentford, because this seems like a banana peel, right? And it's a trap game. So yeah, that's pretty much my starting lineup. We'll go with the key player for Man United against Brentford. We're going to start with the first key player because I have two key players. One of the key players for Man United in this one is Casemiro. Casemiro has been very instrumental for Man United this season. He's been very instrumental when it comes to his goal contributions and all of that. He's played 32 games. He's scored one in the last four. In the last four. He has 8 goals and 2 assists and played over 2,500 minutes. And then basically we can actually tell that he's been doing wonders for this team, and this is counting down to 5 more games for him before he's no longer a Man United player. So we're going to be seeing that, and we're going to be analyzing it. But I think Casemiro is one of the key players for this Man United team. Another key player we're going to be looking at is Bruno Fernandes. Bruno Fernandes has been a superb guy when it comes to creation, chance creation, goals and everything. He's just been the outlet. Imagine he's played 32 games, yet he's been able to put up with 8 goals and 19 assists in all competitions. If you include just the Premier League, because I think he got an assist in the Carabao Cup, but if you include if you focus only on the Premier League, then he's got 8 goals and 18 assists, right? So Bruno, key player. He's the golden playmaker in waiting. Bruno has 18 assists this season in the Premier League, and he's actually chasing the all-time record of 20, as I said. Carrick has also restored him to become the absolute focal point, despite the fact that he's been the focal point for the longest time. He's played nearly 50 more key passes than any other player in the league. 50 more key passes than any other player in the league. If Brentford crowd the center, Bruno's set piece delivery, which has also seen a telepathic connection with Casemiro this term, will be the game breaker. And I say this because that's why I called Casemiro first as key player, because Bruno will create multiple chances for Casa, and Casa will be there to head the ball. So if Casa is going up, that means we have to be defensively astute, right? So it is what it is. Anyway, it will be nice to see what Carrick has to offer with regards to what the game entails. Now we have to talk about the key strategies for Man United to defeat Brentford. We have to talk about the key strategies. Now, the key strategy for Man United to defeat Brentford, to stop the bees from stinging us at Old Trafford, Carrick must actually execute these 4 tactical pillars to be able to defeat Brentford. Now, the first pillar or strategy is to neutralize the direct pivot to Igor Thiago, right? Maguire, if he's playing, obviously I think he's suspended, so most likely, and Euro is not going to make it for this one. They say he's going to be ready in time. That's what I saw on X. But if Euro is not there, then the onus is on is on Aiden Heaven to put up the performance that he did against Liam Delap, right? So they must win. Heaven must win the physical battle. He did that against Delap, and he should be able to do that pretty much against Thiago. And if he does that against Thiago, he easily gets frustrated. It's not just about the first header. Casemiro and Menu also must dominate the second balls. So even if they lose the first ball, Casemiro and Menu must not be too far away to stop Brentford from actually igniting their transition game, because there's so much a counter-attack team and a transition team. So we need to be there to win not just the first balls, but the second ball. If we can't win the first one, we definitely must win the second ball. We need to also, because Igor Thiago will drop the ball down for Damsgaard, and Damsgaard's going to spray the pass to Shada or to Dango Ouattara, and they are running at full space and full sprint, right? And then next thing, Igor Thiago is already in the box to crash the box or to even win a set piece or a penalty, and then he plays the penalty and then we're down, right? So we need to be very wary of that. We also need to exploit the transition gap. Brentford's defensive line often drops too quickly when their press is broken. Bruno Fernandes must live in the pocket of space right in front of their box to unleash Cunha and Bumo before the low block sets. Even for Ahmad, who is very good with beating presses and very good with nicking the ball off, they need to be able to occupy those spaces, right? Now, number 3 strategy is the aggressive reset on defensive transitions. We need to aggressively be able to reset on defensive transitions. United cannot afford a 1v1 against Dango Ouattara. The wide players must collapse inward immediately upon losing possession to prevent Brentford from finding their vertical outlets. Now, another key strategy again is that we need Šeško as the aerial option when the game has gone. Now, if the game becomes a sterile U-shaped possession slog against a deep block, United must use Benjamin Šeško. His aerial presence and prowess provides the physical target needed to break down a Brentford side that is otherwise excellent at defending area passing lanes. So when they are tired of defending, you bring on a Šeško and you play the long ball, and then it drops. Unfortunately, I have to be talking about long balls because obviously that is what most fans call the Man United DNA. So disappointing, but it is what it is. So another thing that we need to be able to deal with when it comes to aerial duels is the long throws from Coyote. Coyote is going to make some long throws into the box, and Brentford are so good at that. Honestly, I trust that Lemons can deal with the aerial balls, but then it all boils down to the defense. Like I said, again, second balls. But it is what it is. We have to observe that, and we will give it a breakdown when it happens. This is the ultimate test for our top 4 credentials. We have to win. We have to win. We don't have a choice. Now, my prediction for this game is a 2-1 win for Manchester United. Now, Brentford are very disciplined. They are direct. They carry historical hex over us, but Carrick United are playing with composure, and we haven't that we have been lacking basically. But then we tend to start games really slowly. So if Bruno can find the gaps and the defense can handle Igor Thiago, then the Red Devils, the Red Empire, takes another massive step toward Champions League football. Like I said, I'm going for a 2-1 win, Manchester United, with a Casemiro header and a Bruno corner to settle it. And that is what it is. A header from Bruno's corner from Casemiro to settle it. And probably maybe one penalty from somewhere. I don't know how that's going to happen. Maybe Cunha wins a penalty because of how aggressive Brentford can be. Now, what do you think? Is Harry Maguire... Obviously, Harry Maguire is not going to be in that game because I was thinking Harry Maguire is going to be the game. But yeah, when I prepared my script, I thought about Harry Maguire. Is Aiden Heaven going to be able to stop Igor Thiago? Because I'm predicting Aiden Heaven is going to start. Or do we, need the recovery pace of someone like Dalot or even like Casemiro in the box, right? Now, let's know your score predictions and your predicted lineups in the comment section. Thank you so much for watching. Thank you so much for liking, sharing, and subscribing. If you haven't already, please do like, share, subscribe, hit the notification bell so you don't have to miss anything as it relates to all things Manchester United. I'll see you on the next one. Glory, glory, Manchester United. Take care, goodbye, and God bless.